Have you ever been confused as to what you really believe? Or have you been so sure that something is the case without any real evidence of that being true? You're just so sure of it, and you really don't even know why. You just know that that's what you were taught. That's what you believe. Cut and dry. This is what I believe. So this is what is. Have you ever wondered why you believe what you believe? What exactly do you believe, and why do you believe that? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Hey everyone, this is Sherman Rivers. Welcome back. In this video, we're talking about belief. Why or what do we believe, and why do we believe that? What is belief? Belief is essentially an attitude. It is an attitude. What is an attitude? An attitude is an emotional or a mental entity. It's a thing that in part characterizes a person. You can learn a lot about a person or know a lot about a person based on what they believe. So that being the case, we have to ask ourselves: is everything that we believe true? Is is there a difference between belief and truth? And there is. There's a significant difference because something doesn't. In short, something doesn't have to be true for us to believe it. And just because we believe that doesn't make it true. So, how did we get to where we're at right now? What was it that caused us to formulate our belief or our belief system? We would like to think that when you believe something that is true. So, what is truth? Truth basically means that whatever it is, it's based in reality and it's factual. It's based on fact. That's what truth is. It's real. It's factual. Um, but that can get kind of tricky when we listen to the changes in terminology and the way things that are phrased nowadays. Nowadays, somebody would say "true for you" or "your truth," and that's just as simple as saying that it may not be the case. It may not be factual. It may not be based in reality. But since that's the way you feel about it, then it's your truth. And so you can see how that could become a little confusing um, when you really stop to think about it. You know, the ancient Greeks, when they thought about this or when they wrote about this, there were two words or two terms that they used. One was pistis. Pistis means pistis. Basically, what the Greeks would do is they would take an idea or thought and personify that, turn it into a god. And in this case, pistis relates to good faith, um, trust, reliability. That's what pistis refers to. And then the other part was what's called doxa. Doxa is more or less pertaining to common beliefs. Um, so, in other words, if enough people feel that way or enough people believe that, it becomes commonplace and then it's kind of accepted as the reality of that's the way it is. Um, you hear the root of that word in terms like orthodox. That's where that comes from. The root word is doxa. So it's a common belief or things that are generally accept. Okay, so here's where it gets kind of tricky. What happens when you believe a set of things, two, three, or more things that you believe, and then something happens that's in conflict with those beliefs? This is when we have something called cognitive dissonance, and it can literally drive some people almost crazy. because now they have to kind of reason through this, because I believe A and B, but C happens, and it's it contradicts those things. It either contradicts those beliefs, it contradicts those ideas, it contradicts those values, and now things are haywire because things aren't as they should be. This creates what's called pain, and this pain and discomfort is something that people will do anything to get rid of. So let's put this in the context. Let's say that when you grew up, you were taught certain things that you came to believe because you didn't know anything different. It didn't have to be factual, and it didn't have to be based in reality. It didn't necessarily have to be true, but you believe it, so it's true for you. And as you grow up, you're taught that this is the case. You're taught that we are alone in this galaxy. We were put here by God, and then you came up with some extra stuff that's not in the Bible. You came up with that this God that made man only made man, didn't do anything else, didn't make anyone else. It's neither here nor there. I'm just using this as an example. And then one day, an alien spaceship comes and lands. That just blew everything out of the water. That's a painful experience. It's an eye-opening experience, but it would be a painful experience because now you got to try to figure out how to make this fit, because there's a contradiction here. How do I make this fit? And I'm using aliens. It's a little aliens in the God paradigm. It's a little out there, but it's just an example so you can kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from as far as how this relates. So what happens is once that takes place, we do anything and everything in our power to try to put it right or explain it away. This is called rationalization. We start to rationalize things. And what we do is we come up with some pretty good stuff. We come up with some really, really creative and interesting things. Half the time, they make sense. They make perfect sense. It's not like we explain away with something off the wall or outlandish, but we find a way to grab hold of some things and put it together in a way that it makes sense so that we can explain away something and not have to deal with a different truth, something that's not true for us, something that attacks our identity. This starts to eat away and destroys the person that we think we are. It starts to dismantle our belief system. So we'll rationalize it. So I said that to say this. Are we really open to new information? Do we really want to learn? Do we really want to know more? Do we really welcome facts that we weren't aware of before? Or do we close our eyes or turn a blind eye and cover our ears when something starts to threaten the beliefs, the ideas, the values that we have become accustomed to throughout our lifetime? So the whole point of this video is to spark a flame that hopefully you'll open your mind, if it's not already open, but you'll use that to be willing to investigate a few things and not just take everything that you've been told since you were a little kid at face value. Because if you do that, I have to ask the question, do you believe that you're mentally free? Do you believe that you're free, that your mind is free? Or is your mind have been programmed, and is being controlled by all the things that everyone else put in there, and none of the conclusions that you have about your life and about existence as a whole did you arrive at on your own? One word of caution: as you embark on that thought process, if you choose to do so, prepare yourself for fear. Most everything you believe has a fear element to it, and that's to ensure that you don't stray from that path as a social order. This is a societal, cultural thing. Mankind has always had a way of doing it and creating mechanisms of control to keep you on that right path. The scariest thing that you can do is start to open your mind up to new and different concepts. And the reason that's so important is because then you have what you need to make decisions, your own decisions about how you feel about certain things. I can't tell you if you're right. I can't tell you if you're wrong. No one can. You can. And that in itself can be a scary thing. Taking those reins, making your own decisions, come to your own conclusions. You might be afraid that you could be wrong. You might be afraid that someone else doesn't approve. There's tons of different reasons why you might have fear. But I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the best answer to a question is I don't know. If you get to a point where you can say I don't know without having to have all the answers, then you're growing. So I hope that's been beneficial to you. If you know of someone else who could benefit from that information, or someone you think may have something that I might be able to benefit from, and they want to tell me a thing or two, I welcome that. I love these discussions because that's how we all grow. So once again, I hope it's been beneficial. Please share it, and let's have that conversation. I look forward to it. Take care. If you received value from this content or know someone that you think would, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And after doing so, be sure to click the bell button for notifications when new content is produced.